Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail. Wow. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Dr. Pat Show. Welcome to Transformation Talk Radio. Welcome to all of your juiciness today. I'm Dr. Pat, joined by Mr. Benny. Hey, B. How are you, B?
Hey, good day, Pat.
I'm having a good day myself so far.
Excellent.
You know, it's early, but I'm still having a good day.
Well, just normal operating procedures for us around here, too.
Normal operating. So, NOPE, right?
No, right.
NOP, normal operating procedures. I like it. That's
Nope.
How can we in the media, how can we do the radio show and have anything be normal, right?
Right.
Because, you know, abnormal is kind of normal sometimes for radio, right?
Oh, 100%.
100%. But for those of you out there, I just want to say, like, we're enjoying the sunshine. Going to be the sunshine kind of thing. And as a matter of fact, it's about a week early, just so you know, because it's usually the 4th of July out here in the Pacific Northwest. That like we start summer, but I think it's starting earlier this week. The little squash are starting to blossom and pop out. There you go. There you go.
You gonna
about
throw
that.
them into some of your recipes then?
I got the recipes,
Oh,
Benny.
there
You're
you
going to
go.
love the recipes. Totally going to love the recipes.
Sweet.
I love the recipes.
Sweet.
I know. Yeah. But remember, everything I do has garlic in it.
That's okay,
So
too.
that's it. That's the key. We got a great show. You ready, everybody? Your body and the stars. That's the body. So today, more about your body and the stars. The Zodiac as your wellness guide. Dr. Stephanie Marango and Rebecca Gordon. This is part 2. And these two shining stars, if I might say, have sat down and they have connected the dots. I mean, it's crazy, right? When you think about it, you connect the dots. And you think about what we love about astrology and what we love about the Zodiac and how very few times we connect what we ask, what we learn with who we are and how we look at our bodies. So today we're doing part 2. It's really kind of exciting. And, you know, part of this is looking at medicine and astrology, but also look at specific body parts that are associated with every zodiac sign. Now, we did talk about a few signs last time. Today, we're going to kick it up and talk about others. For those of you out there, we would love if you are, in fact, inclined to ask a question. I asked a question. I'm going to show you exactly what the question is because I'm going to talk about it on air. But if you are inclined to ask a question that has to do with the Zodiac and your body, this is where we're going to have some fun. And Benny will get some information from you, of course, your name, your birth date, the year, the whole thing, your time of birth, and where you were born. And that's going to help us out. We're going to do some stuff there. But when you look at what each of these amazing women have done, is they have connected the dots in a way that's never really been done before. So today, we're here. Stephanie, Rebecca, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dr. Pat. Thanks. It's
Now,
great
look,
to be back here.
Yeah, you are the authors of this book, and you're also many, many other things. Whether, you know, we talk about you, Dr. Stephanie, as a holistic health physician and educator, and, you know, Rebecca, if we talk with you about your completely committed and embedded search for information and understanding on horoscopes. I mean, now when we put you both together, we have a really interesting dynamic, don't we, ladies?
One that somehow seems new to modern times, but actually dates back all the way to ancient Greece.
It does. It does. I don't know if we are today, maybe we can talk about this before we dive into this. I don't know if we go back to ancient Greece, and I think I do know the answer. In today's world, we really are obsessed with our bodies in a lot of different ways. And I believe we were then too. But let's just talk about what I mean by that. Is we're obsessed with our bodies from one, how we look, image, two, how well it performs, right? And three, how well we think it will perform as we age. And at some point in time, there is either an infomercial or something going on that's going to hit on one of those three things. I would like to ask you both how you approach this arena with those three items when you're bringing medicine and astrology together, and how we look at personal signs. Who would like to start that? Stephanie, would you like, or Rebecca, which one of you would like to start that?
Sure, I can start that. Yeah, so you're saying that we're looking at it in terms of image, performance, and then age, basically.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, totally obsessed.
We are obsessed, and we're obsessed with the body, I think, as if it's something different than us. If there's a part of us, perhaps it's the mind, I don't know, but that is not connected to it. So we'll say something, for example, like, my back is hurting me so much, or the pain in my knee is killing me. So we step back and we disassociate a bit from it. And that's just another way of looking at our objectification of it. Just like you were saying with image, or the ways that women's, body parts and not the entire whole appears in a magazine. Mm-hmm. I think that astrology really speaks to this issue because it takes the body as not just the body, but extends it to all of its greater connections to thoughts, emotions, and spirit. So suddenly there's a consciousness, there's a wisdom, there's a depth, and it breathes with not just issues that seem separate than you, but your very own daily reality.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, am I off track? Yeah, am I off track with those three areas? Did I leave one out? Did I leave one out in the scheme of things when we're looking at, our everyday zodiac and what we seem to be focusing on? Did I leave something out there?
I don't think so, but, it's also interesting to mention that it's like just until recently, it's really the past couple hundred years that astrology began as this practice that separated the body, and it became more of a personality-based thing. Like, oh, you're a Scorpio, you are deep and penetrating, or, or you're a Leo, you're like center stage, and it simply got reduced to such a level of just really the icing on the cake, just the simple personality descriptions. And I love what Stephanie was just saying about how it is the body, it is the emotion, it's the psyche, spirit, everything. And there's been this sort of reductionist way that sort of permeated the world the last couple hundred years. But for more time in history than not, astrology and health were completely intertwined.
Yeah, and let's talk about that for a minute, because can you please update me on this? The thing I want to ask you about is, it wasn't that we were obsessed with it if you go back in ancient times. It was that it was a tool, right? That there's a difference between what I'm saying, in our pop culture today versus how this was and how it became a tool for people, right? And what do I mean by that? A tool about how do I live my life? How am I able to discuss and talk about the day-to-day, but also the future, also why things are happening in the world? Isn't that the major difference also, too, in perspective? And isn't that what you're bringing us back to here? You're bringing us back to, something that has to do with looking at some wisdom around this.
Absolutely. Astrology, as Rebecca was saying, isn't just icing on the cake. It is a worldview. And if you put yourself into the perspective or consciousness of someone who lived a couple of thousand years ago, suddenly the stars truly are a guiding light, and it's not just in terms of answering questions about, the environment or guiding ships at night or offering a chance to tell stories like mythology, but they also inspired the ancients to look within themselves and to understand at a very visceral level the connection to the cosmos. And to your point, Dr. Pat, we are so removed these days that most people don't even know they have a body part until it aches, breaks, or otherwise falls apart, right? I don't have a knee. I'm not aware of my knee until, I torque it somehow. And what we're doing with this book is we're bringing both together. So it's not just the worldview of astrology and the zodiac and the stars, but that this worldview lives within your body. It is you.
Yeah. I mean, this is really an unraveling, so to speak, of how we look at ourselves and how we can take ourselves from this place of seeking and questioning and understanding. But the guide really has become foundational, in a sense, when we're looking at different parts of our body and we're looking at aspects of this that we just are mystified about. And, I want to talk about this when we come back from break, because I shared something with you before we came on the air. And what I said was, I've had a few sports injuries over the years, but I've never had a bicep injury. And clearly, here I am exploring the world of pickleball, as we like to say out here. And the next thing I know, shooting pain in my right bicep, and OMG. So how does that relate to the zodiac? Well, we'll find out more about that. And we're going to talk about, what does Aries do? What does Gemini do? Gemini, arms, forearms. We'll be right back. Lots more. Phone lines are open, 1-800-930-2819. We'll be right back.
I'm so into you, I can barely breathe. And all I wanna do.
Tune in to the Jen Royster Show, intuitive guidance to inspire your life, each Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific and 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This amazing show is an inspirational hour that will take you on an epic metaphysical journey to discover the spiritual approach to life's greatest challenges. Dr. Jen is an internationally known intuitive counselor, spiritual teacher, and energy healer. Call in for intuitive readings and visit JenRoyster.com for more information.
Hi, I'm Tim Darter.
And I'm Steve Kramer.
Join us on Spirit Fire Radio. Discover how to add the mechanics of meditation to your day.
And watch yourself connect in a whole new way. Find the amazing moments in life's routines that often pass us by. Add to your awareness with Spirit Fire Radio.
Tune in each Wednesday at 9 a.m. for your weekly guide to practical mindfulness. And to learn more, visit www.spiritfireradio.com.
Get ready to rid yourself of all that is weighing you down and holding you back from living the life you want for yourself. Coming Clean, The Art of Transparency with Catherine Moss is a hit show for women in recovery who are ready to live life on purpose. Tune in and let Catherine help you live your truth one day at a time. Live each Tuesday, 9 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Transformation Talk Radio is dedicated to the education and awareness of Lyme disease.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Lyme Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Pat, joined here by
Dr. Nusheen Darvish.
Dr. Pat Basili and Dr. Nusheen Darvish will be bringing the most innovative, groundbreaking information, research, treatment innovations, and stories from those it affects every day.
I'm so excited to be talking about this.
We have so much to share.
Dr. Darvish and I are planning to do is connect the dots.
People suffering with all sorts of chronic diseases, it's time. It is time for them to transform.
Tune into Lyme Talk Radio and help keep our mission strong.
For the loyal listeners out there that have been listening to this incredible show on Lyme disease, we are not going to let you down. We're going to come through stronger and enrich the platform for Lyme disease awareness through Lyme Talk Radio. The message will continue, the conversations will become stronger, and the healing epic.
Awaken to your radiant, authentic self. For over 15 years, Soul Purpose Advocate Nancy Monson has been focused on leading change in the lives of those looking to live their true purpose. She is devoted to supporting people in living a soul-directed life every day. Let Nancy help you overcome fear, worry, and doubt. Visit everydayspirituality.com to learn how Nancy can be your Soul Purpose Advocate.
The Doctor is in. Tune in to the hit show, The Psychic Love Doctor, with host Deborah Lee. Deborah's life-affirming, highly perceptive reading method has taught Deborah how to zero in on specific problems with relationships, career pursuits, and current roadblocks to success and happiness. Join Deborah Fridays at 2 p.m. Pacific, and for a special broadcast the second Thursday of every month at 11 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. It is so great tuning. To have you all tune us in and turn us on. Awesome, awesome, awesome here today. Thank you so much for all of that. We've got a great show. Phone lines, as I've said, are open, 1-800-930-2819. I want to thank you both for joining me here today. But before we kind of really get into the nuts and bolts of this, I really would love for you to tell folks, first of all, how can they get a copy of the book? And then I would like folks to have a way to get a hold and find out more about each of you. So let's go ahead and do that. Stephanie, you want to start?
Great. Hello?
Hey, Benny?
We're here. Stephanie, did you hear us? I guess we don't have Stephanie. I will call her back.
All right. Rebecca, why don't you start?
Okay, sure. So first of all, the name of the book, again, is Your Body and the Stars, the Zodiac as Your Guide to Wellness. So if you go onto Amazon, you can just type in Your Body and the Stars and see a wonderful picture of the Zodiac surrounding a human body in the center. And I am the astrologer for Harper's Bazaar, and Stephanie's a holistic physician. We co-authored this book together. Mm-hmm. It is also sold at many Barnes & Noble, I believe, and perhaps local bookstores too. So, we appreciate your reviews and any thoughts you can always write us back to and with your questions from the book.
Awesome.
And also, if people would like to get in touch with me or read my horoscopes are all on Harper's Bazaar. And my website is called mypathastrology.com. And that's MYPATH Astrology. Same thing on Twitter. My Path Astrology, on Facebook, on Instagram, it's all the same. And I'd love to hear from your listeners, too, if they have any questions or comments about the book or about astrology. And truly, it is, in my practice, it is really about helping people to align with their path in life.
Wow. I mean, it's really, when we think about this and we think about what the world is telling us, we are really, I think we're on this search. We're becoming more and more curious. Stephanie, you're back. So please tell us how folks can find out more about you.
Hi. Again, so you can find out about me at embodiment.com, IMBODYMENT.com. I assume that Rebecca told everyone how to find out about the books. You can certainly find them on my site, as well as if you are interested in learning more about your body and how it connects to the world around you at many different levels, there is a newsletter. And if you sign up for the newsletter, you get a free video on the global breath, on how to breathe, which is very apropos for the month we're in, Cancer.
Wow. There's so much that I know that we are here today to talk about, and so much that you both have put into the book. But I wanted to give our listeners sort of a flavor for it. And as you all are listening and would like to call in and get some insight, I shared something that happened to me on Friday. And it was, I went out with some of my friends who play this game here in the Pacific Northwest called pickleball. And, it's kind of a fun game. It's a game that, all ages can play, but it's played with a really hard, solid racket. And I'm used to a lot of rubber on the racket. I play table tennis. And so off I go and I'm playing. The next thing I know is I stretched out to hit a shot and I could feel the pain in my bicep. Now, fast forward to Saturday morning, and I've got this giant mega bruise. Now, of course, I'm going to go to the doctor, but I'm thinking to myself, I got you two on the show. How do I even begin to start the connection between what's happening in my body, that maybe particular thing, and the Zodiac? I think it's a great example. I know our listeners are listening and they have a whole range of questions around their bodies. But how do we even make sense of this? Where do we start?
This is a perfect way to use the book and what we do. Thank you for bringing this up, Pat. Stephanie, do you want to start, and then I'll go into the astrology of it, or actually, maybe I should start. What do you think, Stephanie?
Yeah, let's give the Gemini flavor. We're talking about the twins here.
Okay, great. So we're talking about the arms and the hands, which are ruled by the sign of Gemini. And the story of Gemini is all about communication. And Stephanie and I both came up with a phrase for each sign. So the phrase for Gemini is to serve as a messenger of the illumined mind. And this is, really about speaking your truth here. And it's about communication. And how easy or challenging is it for you to speak your absolute truth and communicate your true message? And sometimes when the arms are affected, whether it's through a broken arm or a sprained wrist or even slamming a finger in a door, anything that has to do with the arms and hands has to do with our communication. And this could be a whole plethora of things. Sometimes it's that there's so much we want to say and communicate to the world, and there's not enough outlets. And other times it feels like our true message might be sublimated. There's something we want to say, but it's very hard to. So it really can have to do with a whole range of experiences, and as far as the way we are able to communicate our message to the world and to serve as the messenger of the illuminated mind.
Wow. I don't think any of us really think about it quite that way. And, you actually do in the book, you come up and you have these, what I call them actually symbolic sound bites for each of the signs. And yet when we think about it, it's fascinating you bring that up, because I can go back to Friday and last week, and that's exactly what was happening in my world, really. It was this dance between, this is what I'd really like to say, but this is what I've been conditioned to say. Does that make sense?
Yes, and that's what Rebecca was talking about with your highest truth and the illumined mind. And what I'd like to add with that, from the standpoint of the body, is that the arm actually starts at the back of the heart, or at the back of the heart center with the shoulder blades and the scapula. So it's literally rooting us in our highest vision, especially you as a Sagittarius sun sign. And then the arm is helping ultimately transfer that communication through us, through the forearm, through the hand. We gesture a lot, and I envision you, Dr. Pat, gesturing a lot with your hands as you speak, right? And in fact, the entire reason our arms exist is literally to bring our hands out in space to be able to communicate, to build, to create, to destroy. And your bruise, it sounds like, you said the biceps, but it sounds like it's very close to the elbow. And the elbow and the forearm are a place, that's the place that transitions the force, the physical force, from the arm to the hand. So I'd add on not just the message you were communicating, the need to go with your truth versus what you think you're supposed to say, but then the how, right? The how it's being communicated. How are you transferring it out there? How are you delivering it?
Yeah. It's really an interesting conversation to have. And for those of you out there, I would love for you to also get a sense of how this might be working in your life. And the way that we can do that is really super, super easy by us opening up the phone lines, 1-800-930-2819. Give us a call. Benny will get some information from you. You know, we're just talking about, in this case, this was an example of what happened to me on Friday with my bicep or arms. But this can happen with anyone in any particular scenario. And that's what I wanted to ask you about. I mean, you don't have to have an injury, but having an injury must have a very special meaning. And so we seeing illnesses, but you don't necessarily have to have an injury to relate it to what you've written in the book. What are some of the things that you're seeing people look at and recognize in their relationship or not so relationship between the zodiac signs and their bodies? What are people most fascinated by in the worlds that you all live in?
Well, I can. One thing comes to mind first of all. So I just led a workshop on Saturday about the book, and you know, as we went through all of the signs, a few signs came up, and a few signs that seem to affect almost everybody. One of those signs that so many people have been affected by is Libra, which is the low back and back pain. And I think maybe 95% of the people in the room wanted to talk about the back. Because what I find is so many of us, the back represents, it's much of our ability to take care of ourselves, to stand up on our own. And when we bend over backwards too much for people or not really trusting in our own power, which is really Leo, Cancer, and Libra, and Virgo, even all these signs in the middle are the core. So there's a lot of challenges around that area, around people really not committing to themselves because of all the messages we've heard in life is, you're not good enough, don't trust yourself, do everything for whether it's your family or your work, and not enough self-care happening. So I've seen those signs affected a lot recently, Libra especially.
Libra is an interesting sign, right? I mean, many people don't know what that is, but we're looking at the scales, correct? And I have to tell you that I've always been fascinated by Libra. I don't think I've got much Libra in my chart, but we go to this thing about justice and injustice. And, I'm extremely fascinated by the way that is showing up in our society right now, and I want to talk about this when we come back without talking about a political issue. But I love the idea that we had something happen in this country that I don't think ever happened in the form of a sit-in. Sit-in. What has that got to do with anything? And how do each of us fully express? Let's take a short break, everyone. We'll be right back. Phone lines are open, 1-800-930-2819. Stay tuned. When we come back, we also have 2 copies of the book to give away, Your Body and the Stars. It is jam-packed. And by the way, do each of you know what it is that these ladies have identified for your sign? So, for example, if you think about Scorpio, what's the theme right there? What is the theme of Scorpio? And why do people, when they hear the term Scorpio, start to scratch their heads a little bit? Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Shine On Radio. Find Your Shine with Kelly is the show that celebrates what makes you, you. Join co-hosts Kelly Wadler and Dr. Pat Basili as they break down how to brilliantly fuel and move your body and love what makes you shine. Kelly is a professional arts and wellness coach dedicated to helping brilliant women find their confidence, energy, self-love, and shine. Tune in to Shine On Radio with Kelly and find your shine on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Are you ready to start winning at the game of life? Lynn Brown, host of Get Into It, Winning at the Game of Life, is here to help you reach places and goals that you never thought possible. Lynn is an intuitive healer with a specialized background in financial healing. She combines her intuitive nature and her wholesome approach to financial planning. To learn more about her financial planning services, contact her personally at intuit.com.
Chris Stanis is a spiritual leader and healer and teaches a course on how you can transform your life through a meditation and healing system that will manifest your spirit's dreams. She manifested the Women of Wisdom Conference, the Women of Wisdom book, and this radio show. And she can show you how to change your life too. Are you ready? Visit the website and contact her at voicesofwomentoday.com. That's voicesofwomentoday.com.
I'm Christine Upchurch, and this is a Stellar Reflections Minute. Years ago, when facing cancer, without any immediate treatment options, I sought healing by making various life changes. For a while, I followed a very restrictive diet. I often found myself obsessing about which foods were good and which ones were bad. Then one day, I realized I was consuming foods based on fear of not getting well. But I didn't want to make choices out of fear anymore. I decided it was far better for my immune system if I allowed myself to experience the joy that came from, say, eating frozen yogurt, than it was for me to ingest the fear that came from avoiding it. Now, instead of choosing healthy habits based on fear, I try to make choices because they feel right and ultimately bring me joy and ease. How many of your healthy habits are really based on fear? Please visit stellarreflections.com or call 425-999-9836. That's 425-999-9836.
Do you want to achieve your goals? Do you want to strengthen relationships with others? Do you want to improve your financial status? Colette Marie Steffen is partnering with Mark Kettenbach to bring you an energetic upgrade online experience. Unfold and develop your full potential. Visit energeticupgrade.com today for more information. That's energeticupgrade.com.
Wow. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It's so great to have you tuning us in and turning us on. And for those of you out there, just so you know, I would love to give a copy of the book away right now. Your Body in the Stars, 1-800-930-2819. Also, if you're listening to the show and you're not able to call in, which many of you cannot, you can send us an instant message at, you can go to transformationtalkradio.com and just type it in there. And what we need is your name, your birth date, day, time, and year, time, and place. And of course, what is your question? What do you want to know about? Is there something going on in your body you want some more information about? This is really kind of important for us to think about because we were talking about a scenario that I described about an injury I got on Friday. And here's what you ladies are going to love. I literally went to play pickleball so I could step away from the issue that was right in front of me, right? The one that I described about wanting to say something and not saying it, and off I go to play pickleball. And boom. So is that like a validation of the work that you do in a really sick kind of way?
You don't have to have an injury though, too, as well, to be able to utilize the book as well. I mean, definitely, I think that's sort of the thing when we experience an injury or an illness, something happens, you can totally turn to that chapter and say, okay, So I have a headache. Let me read about Aries and really understand the backstory, the psychological, emotional components behind that. So there's also many other ways to approach this book as well. One would be, let's say you have been feeling so directionless lately. And you're in needing you just need that energy to focus and move forward in a new direction. And you read through the table of contents and you look at the chapter of Aries and you see, wow, Aries is a sign that really knows how to push through obstacles and just go straight ahead. So you can truly do all the mind-body practices that relate to Aries for a few days or maybe for a month straight. You take on all of the Aries routines, which are physical, lifestyle routines, yoga poses, affirmations, everything. We have a full Aries package for you to really amp up that sign, if that's your thing. Because each sign of the zodiac exists within everybody, and we can really just balance each sign within us more.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I want to ask you both about these things that show up and how we can better interpret them if we could. You know, here I am, and I sat with this bicep thing, and I didn't know this, of course, but it makes perfect sense to me now. Well, the question really is, what do we do about it? You know, isn't that really what the ancients did when they looked at the zodiac? They were looking for answers. They were looking for solutions, right? And what both of you have done is put together this, you know, this incredible book that says, yeah, this is the thing, but wait a minute, we've got some answers for you. We've got some answers for you. Because isn't that really why you both came together, and one of the reasons you decided to do this, to say, wait a minute, let's look at what's going on. Here's what you can do about it.
Exactly. When Stephanie and I met, this was the realization that we were both looking at the same thing, but with completely different lenses, from the body, from holistic health and astrology. And the main thing is, let's do something about it. You know, in the old days, that was very different. If you had that same bicep injury, let's say in the Middle Ages, in the Renaissance, or in the Hellenistic period, what would have been looked at is the exact moment that it happened. That chart would have been cast, and based on the moment that it happened, the physician would be able to delineate and describe more about what was going on. And as well, they might look at your chart, too, and your internal balance, and speak about not only the physical, but all aspects of this injury. So that's really what we offer in the book, is a healing guide. And just Stephanie is also a yoga teacher in Vinyasa, and I'm in Kundalini, so we both offer yogic practices and breath work and lifestyle changes as healing as well.
But to juxtapose what was going on from the thousands of years ago that Rebecca was talking about, you know, the physicians had this empowerment, but I think these days what's happened is the physicians have too much empowerment, so that a lot of the patient's power is now seemingly out of their own hands, right? We're looking for solutions not within ourselves, but all around us. And certainly others can help us, and others should help us and can support us and can teach us many things. But ultimately, the responsibility to be happy, healthy, well individuals lies within ourselves. And so does the ability. And so with the book and with the practical application, which this is just, you know, this is how it needs to be. It can't remain as concept. It can't remain just as a story. We have to literally embody all of these ideas in our 24-hour-a-day physical reality. That's what we're using the yoga exercises, the strength training, the meditations, the breath work for.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I get back to something you mentioned about Aries?
Yes.
And the reason I want to get back to it is my stepmom was an Aries. And I dedicate, in pretty much everything I write, I dedicate my ability to persevere to her. Now, health challenges, body challenges, life challenges, there's something I learned from her that I didn't learn from anybody else in the world. How does that relate to an Aries? I mean, and I've had some physical challenges, and I'll tell you that I was like a pit bull in trying to get underneath solutions that maybe were not conventional. How do we look at a sign like Aries, or look at a situation in our lives and say, you know, that's not my nature to go about that? How can I borrow the juju from the Aries people? I don't know how else to put it, but I'm telling you, really, when I got sick in 2004, it was the voice of my mom that rang through about what to do and how to do it. Does that make sense?
If it seems that it's something separate from you, that's what's great about using the book in terms of its connection of the stars to the body, because then you can take that concept, and even if you're like, the Aries energy, it seems like something someone else had, what we're saying is you actually have it also, regardless of what planets are in that sign, and that the way you can access it is through your physical matter, is through your head. And there are a lot of different ways, and we delineate about 6 in each chapter, certainly for Aries as well. But that's one way, one very tangible way to connect to the go-ahead, forge-ahead, Mars juju of the Aries sign.
Yeah. I would like to actually skip the break because we've got so much to talk about here today in the show. You each have gone through and you've looked at each of these zodiac signs, and you decided there's going to be a theme. And I find it fascinating that as I went through and reread the book, I looked at these signs and I thought to myself, wow, I've had that experience. I've had that experience. I've had that experience. And I'm thinking about it. Can zodiac time of year, for example, can that have an influence on, for example, something in our body? So what I'm trying to say is, listen, if I'm sitting there and all of a sudden my hand develops a nodule on it, let's just say I got it and develops a nodule, it may have to do with my sign, but does the time of year play a factor in it?
Absolutely. There was a time last year when so many planets gathered in the sign of Capricorn. And I can't tell you how many back injuries, how many bone-breaking knee injuries I heard about when we had more than half the solar system in the sign of Capricorn, which rules the knees and the bones. Everybody was breaking bones. I mean, as above, so below, right? When so many planetary bodies are accumulated in one specific area of the sky, same on Earth, there's going to be a tremendous amount of pressure on that area of the body. And when all the planets gathered in Capricorn, it happened to be the knees and the bones, a lot of broken bones and knees. And, currently more planets are in the sign of Cancer. So a lot of people are crying these days. There's a lot of water going on, And
that's
also,
true.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually even cried at the X-Men movie, Apocalypse. So you're right about that. You're right about the crying. But there are other forms of crying. Before the break, one of the things I asked you about was things can happen at an individual level. But without getting into the politics of this, I want to talk about what happened at a collective level or a group level. I mean, we had people in Congress doing a sit-in. Now, I don't know what sign that relates to. I don't know if it relates to any sign, but it is a physical thing. It's like we are sitting in, literally a sit-in, right? And so how does one look at that when we look at your body and the stars? Now, I mean, are we going to look at our bottoms to say that's a sit-in or that's part of, you know what I'm trying to say? But I thought it was so fascinating. It could have been any number of things, right, that folks could have done, but they picked that out of the sky almost. Well, actually, it was a woman that recommended it. And I wanted to know your thoughts on that, because that is a more collective thing, right? It's not one person, it's a group. How do we interpret those things?
Oh, well, the planet that rules action, Mars, which is usually moving forward direct in one motion, is now it's moving from retrograde to forward, so it's called a station. So essentially that planet is still right now, and that planet is sitting in. It's a total standstill on everything at the moment. I mean, this lasts until early July. There's a sense of almost like chessmate going on right now. Nobody wants to budge. So this is that there's a lot of tension in the air with the Mars stationing, and a sort of heightened degree of tension overall from both sides.
Is it positioning? Because this is the energy I was talking about. I didn't really put it together until you just mentioned it. But when you have that energy going on with Mars, right? And then we start to see physical things going on, right? We have to put this together in our own minds, but many of us cannot. I love that we're talking about this because your book really will give people clues and indicators of how to look at this, right?
Yeah, and I think there's some interesting Libra stuff going on, which both Rebecca and I have been seeing. Actually, we discussed Libra and balancing for a bit, and I find it an interesting connecting of the dots that this sit-in, and really someone who popularized the technique of the sit-in was Mahatma Gandhi, who is a Libra. He's a Libra, and he effectively created the sit-in, a sit-in that was occurring by our legislative branch of government, right? Which our government is made of these three different branches, and they balance each other, which is a very Libra concept, and which a Libra, John Marshall, who was a former Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, created.
Wow!
So we've got a lot of different things going on at the same time.
Well, I love this because Libra is balance your scales of truth with grace. Right? If I look at that. And then, people may not know, okay, this is Libra, what's the ruling planet, and so forth. So people may not know the connection between the Zodiac sign and the ruling planets. Maybe I would love for you to say a little bit about that, if you don't mind. And then I got a question for you.
Sure. So, we can talk about perhaps the signs. Yes, each sign is ruled by a certain planet, and some signs or some planets have two signs, we could say. So, starting from the sun, it's Leo, and so on. Every sign. I don't know if you want me to go through each one.
Let's just use an example because we got a question that just came in. Believe it or not, you're gonna love this.
Let's use the Mars Aries example. Mars is ruled by Aries. This is the planet which is ruled by a sign. So simply, the people who are born under that zodiac sign of Aries are going to be stronger as well as more susceptible in the head region. They might have very well-pronounced head skull shapes. They might also be more prone to migraines or maybe head injuries and things like that because their head is simply being used more in life in these ways. So every sign is both strong and more susceptible in that part of the body.
Wow. Okay, you ready for this question? There are no mistakes. Here we go. This is from one of our East Coast listeners calling in from New York. Here's the question. Hi, Dr. Pat. I think you're talking about me. Below my thumb, on the side, it's the size of a nickel. I've had it for a couple of weeks. It's affecting my thumb. My birth time is, between 12 noon and 12:30 lunchtime, my mother said. I was born in Manhattan in New York City, and 9/20/49 is my birth date. Now, what does this all mean with this thing that won't go away? It looks like a nodule in the palm of my hand, and I'm finally contemplating going to the doctor. But what's in the signs? Oh boy! And we got about 8 minutes to talk about this, but this is a great one, right?
Absolutely. So I'll just mention quickly, just to confirm, September 20th, 1949, at 12:30 p.m. in New York, New York. Is that correct?
New York.
Right. Between 12 and 12:30. The thing is, his rising sign could either be Scorpio or Sag with that range. But what we do know is that he is a Virgo.
Yes.
So, and we also know, you said the nodule is in his finger by his thumb?
It's and it's in her left hand, and it is nodules in the palm of her hand affecting the thumb. So it's below the thumb. It must be right on that, fat point where the thumb is, where the thumb connects to the hand.
Well, this is a perfect example of what we were saying before, too, that you don't have to see that sign to have that a challenge of that sign affecting you.
Yeah.
So this is about Gemini, And she happens to have actually no Gemini in her chart, but the qualities of Gemini are probably sending a very important message to her now about something she's needing to speak out and say, although she is a Virgo sun and a Virgo moon. And we just had a lot of planets in Gemini, so it also speaks to where there was, over the last month, a whole lot of energy building up in the way of communication. I will let Stephanie speak about the exact part of the body a bit more, but this about communication.
Wow. So Gemini's got the floor today.
Gemini has the floor today. Yeah. Well, I think, to your point about individual versus collective, we're all really right now being asked to stand up for our higher truth. Yeah. And if we don't, potentially we're going to see that in the form of, bicep tears or nodules or other gifts in the wound, as I like to call them. In terms of this nodule that's on her thumb, and of course I haven't seen it, but just given its location on the hand, that's the part, think about talking with your hands. So for our listener, how do you use your hands to gesture? There's an entire sign language that uses hands. There are mudras to invoke greater energies. How are you using your hands during the day? For example, are they gripped in more of a fist? Are they tense? Are they perpetually curved over a laptop? Because with the Virgo energy, Virgos can be very nitpicky, very detail-oriented, and at one end of the Virgo energy, they can be quite compulsive. So this could be a, kind of a disjointed connection problem between what she's saying and how she is saying it, because maybe she needs to move as her Virgo sun self a little bit more in the relaxed, permissive, going with the flow direction, so that then her hand is not gripping, or it's not in it's not creating repetitive motions again and again and again, which potentially she has a cyst there, and it came from that type of friction between a tendon and a ligament and the bone.
Yeah, she's now pinging and saying, and it goes up in my wrist. So it must be a nodule on the palm now that's going into the wrist.
Well, everything is connected, not just the body and the stars, but the body within itself is connected as well. So, even a simple, beautiful movement like figure eight, using the wrists and your hands to make them in a very gentle way, that can help then move your hands and wrists through an easeful range of motion, versus we can do that one movement many ways, right? We can do that kind of rock hard with a claw, but I'm guessing that she's being asked to just kind of take an exhale, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
And so to be able that, I don't know if our listener has the book at home or if she's won the book or going to get the book.
Oh,
but
she's getting the book. She's getting the book.
It is detailed in there, this movement. I'm doing it now, actually, as I'm speaking, flowing your hand and wrist in a figure eight back and forth, and to do it with both hands and wrists, and then reversing directions, and just, sitting with the 2 feet flat on the ground while she does it in a moment of ease is probably going to help forge a healthier connection between the Virgo, any Virgo energy that's more on the sort of nitpick, compulsive detail side of things, and how she's delivering, communicating that message to the rest of the world.
So, we talked about waiting to exhale in a lot of ways. And I guess if you're a Virgo, exhaling is not something you like to do very much.
Most people do not breathe into their bellies.
Yeah.
Right? They keep the breath up by the clavicles. Right? The Virgos are holding their cores in.
Yeah. Virgo and both Gemini are ruled by the same planet, which is Mercury. And Mercury is the planet of communication. So these are the busy bodies of the zodiac. It's quick thought, it's assimilation of thought. What do we do with this information? Where does it go? And when the mind gets on overdrive with these Mercury-ruled signs, often we forget to breathe and to release and to take in a proper inhale. So breath work is so important for these Mercury babes, Virgos and Geminis, both.
Wow. Thank you guys for today. Wow. How quickly does this go by? Again, how can people get a copy of the book? And again, how can they find out more about each of you? You both are like, you're like the rock group that we have out here, Heart. That's who you guys are. You are the heart of this
fun.
body and the stars. How can we find out more about you?
Oh, great. The books are available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble online, as well as in the retail stores. You can find out about me, Dr. Stephanie, by going to embodiment.com, IMBODYMENT.com, where you can sign up for a newsletter and we're talking about breath, a free breath video. And Rebecca?
And the website you can reach me on is called mypathastrology.com. That's MYPATH astrology. And as well, I write a great astrology monthly newsletter. You can read all the articles I write for Harper's Bazaar there, too, on astrology. And as well, buy the book from the site, too. Social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that great stuff. I post all the time on astrology. My Path Astrology is the handle on everything. So, Pat, this has been wonderful.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so very much. Hey, everybody, we'll be right back.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.